My name is Councillor Abdul Khayum, Chair of this licensing subcommittee.
The meeting today will be webcast and the recording will also be available for people to view later through the Council's website. It's also possible that Sheffield Live TV will record and read member of the public participating in a meeting objects to being recorded. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, are there any apologies for absence? No. Exclusions of the public and press? Any exclusions? No. Any declarations of interest? Okay, so could officers and members around the room introduce themselves and please, my colleague Councillor Barker.
Good morning, I'm David Barker, Councillor for Richmond Ward, and I'm afraid every hour you will get a Christmas carol from that bell. Nothing we can do about it.
Thanks, David. Cliff.
Morning, my name's Councillor Cliff Woodcraft.
Morning, Samantha Bond, Legal Advisor to the Subcommittee.
I'm Mitch Wibley, also Legal Services, but just observing today.
Morning, Shimla Finch from the Licensing Service. I'll be presenting the report today.
Philippa Burdett, Democratic Services.
Thanks everyone, and can the applicant and the advocate introduce themselves please? Use the mic please.
Andrew Cuneo, Housekeeping.
Neil Gibson here, assisting Mr. Cuneo.
Representatives.
Hi, I'm Jo Pearce from the Parks and Countryside Service.
Hi, I'm Jo Holland, Parks and Countryside Service.
Okay, thanks everyone. I'm just going to ask our solicitor to the committee to outline the procedure this morning. Sam?
Thank you, Chair. Have we all got a copy of papers that need them? Yeah, fab. We've got a couple of spares if need be. So the procedure is on page 61. It looks a lot worse than it is, so I'll just briefly run through that. So the licensing officer, who's Shimla this morning, will introduce the report. If there are any questions concerning the report, can raise them then. So if there's anything that's changed or inaccurate, then we can get that amended for the record. Well, it says we're going to go to the applicant first to detail the application, so I guess we will follow that process. I usually do it the other way around, but is that for street trading? I think I'm just used to Licensing Act, but oh, no, it's all right. It's just sort of trying to decide which way around to do it, but we'll follow the processes in the report. So we'll head over to you guys first just to detail the application, provide clarification on it and respond to the representations made in the report. There'll then be an opportunity for questions from members of the subcommittee and officers, and with the permission of the chair, the interested parties will also be able to ask questions of you as well. We'll then head over to the Parks and Countryside Service to detail their representations, so just to expand on what's written in the report. Again, members and officers may ask you questions, and with the leave of the chair, the applicant and their representative could also ask you questions. Everybody will have the opportunity to sum up their representations. We'll have the final say with you guys, given that it's your application today. And we'll then take the options as detailed in the report from the licensing officer. Members will go into private session to take legal advice and consider the application. So even though the representations are similar for both, we're going to deal with them two very distinct ones, so we'll have to do the same thing for both, which is a little bit annoying, but just to keep them separate, because obviously they're two separate decisions. So obviously you're welcome to hang around for that decision. We'll invite you back in and let you know what that is. The subcommittee's decision will be confirmed in writing to the applicant and all parties who have made representations. At any time during the hearing, members may request legal advice. We can do that in open session as we are now, or closed, where we just ask you all to pop next door. We'll have a discussion and then invite you back in and let you know what that was. As we've already discussed, the hearing is held in public today unless there were any reason why the recording should be stopped and members of the public excluded, but I don't foresee any issues with that. And just to confirm, there's no right of appeal against the council's decision in relation to refusing to grant a street trading consent. So if the decision is to refuse, obviously we'll deal with that when we get there, but it is by way of judicial review. But we can deal with that if and when we get to it. And that should be everything. It went on longer than meant to, sorry.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Sam. Okay, so can we have the report then, please, Shimla?
Thank you, Chair. This report is to consider an application to renew a static street trading consent on Rustlings Road. The application was submitted on the 3rd of October and a copy is attached at Appendix A. This has been referred to the Licensing Subcommittee for determination due to an unresolved representation from the Parks and Countryside Service, and that's attached at Appendix B. The objection relates to similar concessions which are within the park's land and the impact the applicant's consent is having on the charitable trust. Information regarding these concession holders and the renewal applicant is detailed within the report at paragraph 4.3. There is a plan indicating the location of the concession holders to the applicant attached at Appendix C of the report. Similar objections have been submitted on previous renewal applications by Parks in 2022 and 2024, and I've attached links for this within the report for information. So prior to the publication of this report, the applicants have submitted emails and other documents of support, which includes a petition, which is attached at Appendix D, and a letter of support from an MP, which was circulated yesterday. The applicants and the objector have been invited to attend the licensing subcommittee. There are no financial implications arising from this report, and it's recommended that members consider all relevant information available, any representations made, and the council's street trading policy, in particular to paragraphs 1.2 and 2.8. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Everybody okay with that? Any questions from anybody? No?
Chair,
Councillor Woodcraft.
yeah, thank you, Chair. Can I ask, have there any complaints been made about the operation of the ice cream vans, which may be relevant to this case?
No, not that I'm aware of. We've not received any complaints.
Okay, thank you. Right, responsible authority representatives, if you want to detail your representation then, please.
Thank you. So we're here on behalf of Sheffield City Council. We work within the Parks and Countryside Service, and I think it's really helpful for people to be aware that Endcliffe Park is charitable trust land, and Sheffield City Council is the sole trustee of Endcliffe Park Charity, managing it on the charity's behalf. So as trustees of Endcliffe Park, the council has a legal obligation to act solely in the best interest of the charity. Granting a street trading licence on the park boundary would likely divert trade away from the park's existing catering partners, reducing the income and therefore impacting on achieved rent that is reinvested into the charitable trust for the maintenance of the park. The rental income is essential to maintain and improving the park, ensuring we comply with the charity's objects. Any reduction in revenue could compromise the sustainability of the park's operations and its ability to serve the public. For these reasons, the council should make its decision as trustee with the charity's interests as the overriding priority and consider alternative locations for the applicant that do not jeopardise charitable income. For context, an ice cream pitch on the highway through street trading such as Rustlings costs the operator a few £100s annually, which obviously is paid to the council. A pitch inside a destination park, such as Endcliffe Park, is worth thousands of pounds with an operator regarding the achievable rent income and the percentage of turnover to reinvest back into the park. These thousands of pounds that are pitched within a destination site such as Endcliffe, Millhouses, others, that doesn't sit there doing nothing. This is thousands of vital pounds used for the upkeep and maintenance of our wonderful parks and green spaces. To make that feel real, Endcliffe Park and the surrounding area, the team there of around 6 gardeners, that costs around £100,000 for us as a service to maintain, keep the maintain staffing, fuel, machineries, and it's a green flag site, so that's a high standard that people expect and want. Anything we can do as a service to generate income for that site supports that bill that we have to foot. So that is what this is about. The staff are under more pressure than ever with reduced staff teams and increased demands. Everybody is feeling it. So on behalf of the Endcliffe Park charity and the wonderful ground staff who work to support this beautiful site, I feel and we feel that we would not be doing our jobs if we didn't object to this on this basis. You've been provided with a map, I understand, which shows where the ice cream vendor would be, in addition to the cafe selling ice creams and a pitch a few hundred metres away within the park. There is no requirement from a park service perspective for an additional ice cream offer 100 metres away, a few hundred metres away. Sadly, it feels we're often painted out as the bad guys within this, and we're really not. We're just some people who really care about our parks and green spaces. This is not a personal attack against an operator at all. This is just what we're doing our bit for the council on behalf of the charity to raise income to sustain our the treasures in our green crown of Sheffield. I think that's everything we wanted to say. Anything to finish? Just to add as well, we will continue to do this annually until we can perhaps influence a policy or change something, because the fact remains that £279 for a pitch outside of a park I appreciate we've come, you know, this is the third time we've been here, but we will continue to come and do it because it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We may have some questions. I'm just going to open it to questions to my colleagues. Any questions, Councillor Barker?
Yeah, just a couple. I mean, in your objection, you've got words like, you know, would likely have a detrimental effect, could negatively affect. Can you quantify that? Or, I mean, do you have examples of where there are parks without ice cream vans outside and the income that you generate is much higher? It's just very, very woolly, this objection.
Deliberately woolly from a commercially sensitive perspective. Obviously, these pitches, we know, Encliffe, Millhouses, Graves are our highest pitch earning ice cream sites because they're the highest footfall sites. It's not appropriate to disclose specific sums. Obviously, that would impact on future negotiations, but we know that an ice cream park just outside a park and another operator within there impacts on that. We've seen that through the negotiations, having gone through the procurement in the last 5 years. We've seen the impact of that. We can't share the commercial details of that, but we have seen the impact.
And can you think of any reason why the people operating within the parks haven't objected to these applications?
No.
Thank you. Councillor Woodcraft?
Thank you, Chair. It's a question for licensing, actually. In terms of licensing objectives, how does this sit? I don't, you know, this argument sit. Can you clarify, please?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. So licensing objectives aren't relevant in this case. We're just purely operating under the 1982 Act in terms of the street trading consents. There are licences and consents. All ours, bar the city centre, are consents. So what we deal with in that respect is under the policy, which we have. It's quite a long policy. So we look at the suitability of the applicant. So similar to with taxis, whether they've got convictions, their history, whether they're suitable to be operating in this sort of regime. And then in terms of objections from people, there's a section in the policy about factors that would be relevant to that. So, for example, conflicting and competing businesses nearby, if it's likely to impact on a neighbouring business. I'm trying to find the exact. Yeah, so we look at public safety and highway issues. So if there have been any issues in terms of complaints from highways or that they've been blocking a pavement, restricting access, things like that. As far as I'm aware, there's been nothing like that. Public order, so whether the trading activity presents a substantial risk to public order. Again, I don't think that's been relevant. Public nuisance, so that's similar to with the Licensing Act. The appearance of the unit. Environmental credentials, I believe Mr Cunha's got a Euro 6 van in that site anyway, so it complies with that and the clean air zone. As I've said, the suitability of the applicant, number of street trading consents. So the licensing authority can look at whether there are sufficient traders in that locality. That's not been applicable here. So it's quite a big, extensive list that we're looking at. So as opposed to it just being as straightforward as the 4 licensing objectives, it's pretty much anything and everything, if that helps.
Yeah, thank you for that. So is competition an issue? And if it is the fact that it's council park relevant? Should we give increased weight to the fact that the council has made this objection?
I think we can only consider it in accordance with our policy and the legislation governing the street trading consent. So competition law is outside of our remit. And I would disagree that the overriding objective is the duty of the council as the trustee. We're solely here to consider the street trading consent application in accordance with the law and our policy that governs that.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Thank you. I've no questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Woodcraft. Just for clarity, from information, you're saying that the trader's fee for operating outside of the boundaries, 279, did you say?
I'd refer to colleagues in licensing to clarify.
Do you know what the fee for that is?
Sorry. Just question.
Licensing fee for trading outside of the boundary of the park?
They're all different with static street traders, so it depends on the location, how many hours,
Okay.
Whereabouts are trading. So each static application fee is completely different.
Okay, but you say it's in the hundreds. I mean, I heard the hundreds, rather, a couple of £100 is the figure which I heard.
Yes.
Okay,
We're
and
paying that per quarter.
inside the boundary, again, I heard the figure thousands, but I didn't hear an exact figure. Sorry? Can you confirm that?
I don't know what the fees are within the parks. That's
So market value dictates the value of that pitch when people come, and they're in the value, tens of thousands of pounds for pitches within high footfall sites such as Endcliffe, Graves, Millhouses.
Okay, and are you able to say how many are currently operating from inside the park at Endcliffe?
How many ice cream vans within inside the park? One ice cream van within the park, and obviously then the park cafe.
One in the park and one in the park cafe?
Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of accessibility to the general public for this, the ice cream inside the park, how do they access, both people inside the park and outside the park, how do they access those ice cream vans or the cafe?
Yeah. So the ice cream pitch within inside the park is within the main kind of footpath network next to the playground. Obviously the cafe is also accessed by that network of paths. There is the road down to that part of the park, so there is some parking bays within the park. So yeah, easily accessible for people using Endcliffe Park.
Thank you. Again, as I remember, I think it's fenced and there's an entrance, a couple of entrances, but the main boundary is fenced, isn't it?
Yeah, the main boundary is fenced, and there are entry points all the way along the boundary of Endcliffe Park. There's Hunter's Bar, there's up near, Rustlings Road, Bingham. Yeah. So yeah, there's entry points around the park.
Okay. Okay, thank you. No more questions. Advocate, if you have any questions. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Sam, I'm going to come to you first. Sorry. Any questions, Sam?
Only a couple, I won't take too long. Have you, as a service, received any complaints, either from anyone operating within the park or generally in relation to Mr. Cuneo and his operation over the past few years?
Yeah, yes we have, yeah.
From general or the traders?
General public, yeah, I don't have evidence of that to be able to go into detail, but we can provide that after, but yes we have.
And the traders inside the park?
The ice cream operators within the side of the park, yes. Just to go back to, in terms of the complaints, I haven't got the detail here, but that relates to the parking bay being taken up outside. Obviously parking is really restricted on Rustlings Road, so complaints from residents regarding, I think ice cream bays are often kind of held with a car so that the ice cream van can get in a position, so complaints from residents regarding that have been put forward previously. We're not talking loads of complaints, but yes, there have been complaints. not in terms of the quality, the offer clearly, yeah,
Yeah.
well loved and appreciated offer.
Yeah. Okay. And have you had any discussions with Mr. Cuneo over the past year about his operation?
No.
And has the representation from the Parks and Countryside Service gone through the Charity Trustee Subcommittee?
They've been made aware of the objection.
Okay. Were they supportive?
They were not unsupportive. I think there's a challenge between the charity committee governance and the licensing committee governance, in all honesty, so I wouldn't say people are entirely clear on that.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Now comes the applicants. Only if you've got any questions to ask, then obviously.
The objection from the Rustlings Road resident, I believe, was raised in a previous hearing. They haven't objected again this year officially, I see. There's no objection on the report.
No, not, this is just a previous complaint, yeah. There's nothing, not as part of this latest round of petitions.
And nobody's made an objection about the about the service, about the van being on the road, no?
Being on the road, yes, but not the ice cream offer, no.
But that's not a recent complaint, that's a previous complaint that was brought up at a previous licensing hearing.
Well, I have to clarify the detail, because there has been complaints within this last year, not as part of this process, but we have received complaints in the last year, but we'll have to clarify that.
I just wanted to check about trading in the parks. I believe if you trade in the parks, you've got to have a street trading licence to trade in the park. So I noticed on the report on page 11 that there's a new application for a street trader's licence to trade inside the park, but the previous licence was issued in 2022. So are you aware whether the trader in the park had a licence in 23, 24, 25?
Yes, they did, and that's been processed through at the minute.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, can I just expand on that? Did you say that the street trading consent for within the park is being processed? Do you have anything on that?
Yeah, we've got a new application for within the parks that's just been received and validated recently.
Because they will expire in November, don't they? So I'd have thought that one, has that already gone through? Or?
They're issued for 12 months. Let me just check when they expire, because I think the parks ones are slightly different with the expiry dates.
Sorry.
Applicant then, and Neil, if you want to detail the application and provide some more clarification on the application then please.
I'm here representing Mr. Cuneo. So he's operated an ice cream concession. He did operate an ice cream concession inside Encliffe Park for over 10 years. Since losing that, he's then had the street trading on the road. He's always complied with everything licensing has wanted from him. He's consulted with them over the specification of his vans, and his van currently in Rustlings Road is fully Euro compliant, and he has this year traded from a fully electric ice cream van on Fargate, and he has the intention to replace all of his vans with electric vans in the future. A few years ago, when the tender for the site inside Incliffe Park came up, Mr. Cuneo bid what he felt was a fair and reasonable amount to contribute to parks. That was based on his 10 years of trading within the park, and he knew the profit he made, and he knew what he could afford to pay parks for the concession. It appears that the new vendor at that time, 2022, bid a much higher figure, and it would appear that that figure, they have struggled to reach that figure. And we have a feeling that because they failed to reach the figure that they were bidding to the parks, that parks are now turning on Mr. Cuneo and blaming him for the problem. Parks previously objected in 22 and 24, and the licensing subcommittee then graciously granted the licence, rejecting the objections from Parks. Mr. Cuneo has continued to trade on Rustlings Road with no issues raised. Once again, Parks are objecting Mr. Cuneo is affecting the income of another business in the park. I would say that there'd be no objections again from the cafe in the park, who are on quite good terms with Mr. Cuneo, and they have no problem with them trading. They sell hard ice cream in the cafe, while Mr. Cuneo serves soft ice cream. As some of you may recall, I served in this committee for 10 years, and at that time we dealt with a number of conflicts of new applications for street traders' licenses with other shops and other traders. I believe in every case we felt that the right to trade, the right to run a business that may compete with other traders, overruled objections, as this makes it a more competitive marketplace for the customer. I think our view was generally, as long as the street trader was not adjacent to an existing fixed trader or another mobile trader, we deemed that the open trade and competition overrode any concerns. If you look at the map, you'll notice Mr. Cuneo's van is parked a distance from the main part of the park, and I think that most people enter the park by the Hunter's Bar entrance or the entrance from Bingham Park. So I would argue that the van inside the park, which is equidistant between these two gates, gives adequate access to members of the public. I hope the subcommittee would agree that competition is good for the public, and that's noted. I'd note that in the number of supportive messages Mr. Cuneo has received, the petition's got over 1,800 signatures, numerous supportive comments from members of the public, both by email and on the Friends S11 Facebook page. My client, as is evidenced by the huge number of people in the community who have written to him, with a large number of signatures of petitions supporting his application, feel he's being penalised by mistakes made by another trader. It's very clear that people who buy ice cream from Mr. Cuneo fully support his right to trade on Rustlings Road and Rivelin Valley Road. I'd like the subcommittee to take into account the many years that Mr. Cuneo has traded in the ice cream trade in various parts of Sheffield, has paid all the fees due to the council, including those 10 years of trading in Incliffe Park, and has contributed substantially to the income of the charity. I'd ask the committee to consider that the previous committees have allowed the street traders licence, so I'd ask you to consider the evidence you have, to consider the considerable support from local people for what they see as a very popular local trader who does sell the best ice cream in Sheffield. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Neil, for that. Again, open to questions. Any questions, Councillor Woodcraft? Councillor Barker?
Just one from me. Why this location? Particularly given that you've got competition close by, what is so appealing about this spot? Why do you want to continue trading here?
I think my client feels it's an excellent location. He has a lot of support from local people. It's a popular, Incliffe Park is a very popular park. I know, I go walking there every Friday, and it's always busy. And there are plenty of people around and plenty of business for more than one ice cream van. And is there anything else? Why are you trading?
Everybody knows that we stand there, they know where to find us.
People in S11 and around the park know that Cuneo's is there, and they've bought ice cream from him for a number of years. From being children themselves, they're not parents, they're still bringing their children to buy ice cream from him.
Thank you. Nothing more from me, Chair.
Thank you. Neil, you said earlier on that your client used to operate from within the car park, and then he lost the license, and what was the reason for his losing license? Did I miss that?
He traded inside the park for over 10 years, but when it came up to rebid, Mr. Cuneo bid what he felt was a reasonable amount based on the amount of profit he was making inside the park at that time. But it would appear that the trader who obtained the tender bid a very large amount of money and was now struggling to reach that. I think a new trader may have applied this year, or is it the same trader inside the park?
Yeah, sorry, just to clarify a couple of points there, because they weren't entirely, factual from my perspective. Miss Cuneo used to trade within the park. There was then a fair and transparent procurement process. Miss Cuneo didn't win that. Another operator did, because in the best interest of the charity, we took the offer that could meet the requirements that we had in place and also was the highest financial offer. That was a 3-year arrangement. We then put that out to the market again. That operator, not for there were some reasons suggested there, they failed to win that time. A new operator were then granted with a 7-year licence. That happened again. It was a strong offer. I won't go into the financial detail, but we granted that licence on the best that it was the best offer in the best interest of the charity. Miss Cuneo didn't win the pitch back when we did it because it wasn't a high enough offer.
Okay, so basically there's a bidding process.
Bidding process been throughout.
Mr. Cuneo was outbid and that's why he stopped.
Yeah.
Okay, just to clarify that, thank you. Okay, yeah, Neil?
Thank you, Chair. Just on that point, I think we've got a concern that the trader in the park is almost overbidding, and I understand perfectly. The charity obviously wants to take the highest bid and the one that they think is going to succeed, but it seems to be, we feel that the last couple of years that the trader in the park overbid and then found they couldn't make enough money to contribute what they'd said they contribute to parks. And that might be happening again now, but the new bidder may have overbid because they're not aware of the trading circumstances in the park.
There's no evidence to suggest of that. There's no evidence on that. The previous operator also applied again. They just didn't win it.
Okay, thanks for that. Come back.
I believe the operator who's been in the park the last 2 years is selling his ice cream at a much higher price than Mr. Cuneo is. So that looks to me like a desperate attempt to make as much profit as possible. I have heard comments from people in the park saying, oh, they're too expensive in the park, we'll go to Cuneo's because he's a bit cheaper and the ice cream's better.
Okay, thanks. Sam, any questions?
Thank you. Similar to what I asked Parks, has anyone approached Mr. Cuneo with any issues, complaints, any problems? Nothing in the last year? No. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, opportunity for yourselves then to ask any questions you may have and obviously respond.
I just wanted to ask a question around, you described then that users of the park, you use the park yourself, really high footfall site. Do you think, therefore, it's appropriate that a business can make a really healthy income, that's great, on the edge of the park because of those park users and not contribute anything to the actual upkeep and maintenance of that beautiful site?
Oh, I think the same argument would apply wherever a street trader is, whatever they're trading in. If they're trading close to any council-owned property, you might say, well, why are they not contributing to that? But it's a street trader's licence, and that allows them to trade on the street. I don't think there's any moral question that a street trader should be contributing to something else the council owns. Also, I'm not at liberty to disclose the profitability of Mr. Cuneo's van, but it's not a massive profit. Ice cream isn't that profitable. It's a sort of survival business, and also in the current climate, it's getting a lot harder to sell ice cream and to make the profit.
And then it's not really a question, just more of a point. Obviously, the petition gets raised each time that we do this, and it was just to kind of, just on balance, I would just highlight that obviously we're not, as officers of the Parks and Countryside Service, in a position to start a petition, but I do just think it's important to consider if we were to present a balanced picture that said, if you were to, you know, you're voting for this, but actually that's at the cost of a part-time gardener. What you would see if you do go for that is then an increase in the amount of litter in your site because the staff team there has been reduced. The maintenance, the quality of that space is reduced. The impact on the playground that people love and visit, very much so. All these operators, all that income supports the upkeep of that site. So I think if we were able to present a balanced picture within a petition, which I understand we can't because that's the nature of petitions, but it might get a different outcome. But no further questions, thank you.
I think just to clarify on the petition point, generally it's very similar to when we have the Licensing Act hearings. The weight to be attached to it is a matter for the committee. So obviously individual representations and comments in relation to the application and in relation to our policy are going to be more relevant. So the comments provided, say, from the Sheffield Online screenshots and things that have been emailed into Mr Cuneo, those that speak to the points in the policy we're here to consider. So obviously a lot of the competition and the upkeep of the park are not matters that we can take into consideration as part of this application and process. It's purely in terms of his operation and, as we've already covered, you know, the issues on the public highway, his suitability. So that's where we're sort of going to keep the focus on that today.
Okay, thanks for that, Sam. Right, so we've come to the final part of the process then. Finally then, just to again give yourselves, both parties, an opportunity to sum up your representations and the applicant. So yourselves first, you want to add anything else, just sum up your, your presentation if you think you've missed anything else.
Thank you. Genuinely, it feels difficult this. It's not part of a job that we enjoy. We're here to maintain beautiful parks and green spaces and work with businesses, and we had a good long-standing relationship with Mr Cuneo for a long time. I would say that if any operator parked outside the park with any operator inside the park, we would object. So if in years to come Mr Cuneo decided he would want to go for a pitch within the site and was to be granted with that, we would then object to someone's parking outside. This is not personal. This is about Sheffield's beautiful parks and green spaces. We have got declining budgets, and our job, mine and Joe's job, is to do what we can to derive income from our sites. That is all this is about. So I'm sorry this feels a bit difficult. Genuinely, it's not meant to. Thank you for listening to it. Yeah, and there was just one...
Yeah, and working on behalf of the charity as well, we've got a duty to carry that out. And then I just wanted to just add another point that when the procurement process was being undertaken, because of the street trading on the boundary, we asked for 2 bids from each vendor. One if the concession was there, and one if the concession wasn't there on the boundary. And there were 2 very, very different bids. So because the concession is there, we had to take the lower bid.
Okay, so thank you very much, and yeah, we appreciate the time.
Okay, thank you for that. Neil, you want to sum up?
I'll just sum up on behalf of Mr Cuneo. So it's been suggested that his street trading might negatively affect nearby businesses. On the contrary, street trading can serve as a complementary feature to other businesses, drawing more people into the area and increasing foot traffic for all local traders. He also is open to collaborating with neighbouring businesses for mutual promotion, thus creating a symbiotic relationship that benefits the local economy as a whole. In particular at Encliffe, he has a very good relationship with the owners of the cafe. He takes environmental stewardship very seriously. He ensures that his van is well maintained, that all waste is promptly and responsibly removed. He's committed to using environmentally friendly materials wherever possible and works to keep the area around the van clean and tidy throughout the trading day. He has invested in an electric ice cream van that's been parked in Fargate in the last summer. We believe that's the only one in Sheffield currently. He'd like to emphasise that his objective is not only to run a successful business, but to become an active and positive member of the local community. He believes in creating a welcoming and inclusive environment for people of all backgrounds, contributing to the vibrancy of the area. He's received a huge amount of positive feedback from local residents, many of whom are quite upset at the prospect of him not being there. So in conclusion, I would respectfully request the committee consider renewing the trading licence, as he is confident that his ice cream van is a positive addition to the area and he's committed to adhering to all local regulations, maintaining a high standard of operation and being a responsible member of the community. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, well, thank you very much to both parties for your representations. We've now come to the end of that process, and we are now going to ask the licensing officer to detail the options available to us as a subcommittee this morning before we ask yourselves to leave the room and go into private discussion. So, Shimla, please.
Thank you, Chair. The options open to the committee are 1, to grant the renewal of a street trading consent, 2, to grant the renewal application with amendments, 3, to defer the matter for further consideration, or 4, to refuse the renewal application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we'll now move into private session and deliberate, hopefully come to a decision, and if you want to wait, obviously outside the room, we can call you back and let you know the decisions. Thank you.
No, just similarly with no right of appeal for you, also that goes for you guys as well, but you would have the option to judicially review the decision should you want to. Following this hearing and the next one, we'll get a notice just outlining a summary of everybody's evidence that was before the committee, how they came to that decision, and just setting out the outcome of that decision, basically. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Neil. Good to see you.
Oh, sorry, Neil, we're going to do the Rivelin Road one. Are you staying for that as well, or? Sorry? For the Rivelin Valley Road. Are you representing for that one as well? Yeah. We're going to go again. Just because they're two separate applications in different locations, yeah. All right.
Well, in that case then, yeah, I think we'll skip the first couple of agenda items and go straight to Shimla for the report.
Okay, thank you. This report is to consider another static street trade and renewal application. This one's on Rivelin Valley Road in Sheffield. The application documents can be found at Appendix A. It's been referred to the licensing subcommittee for determination due to an unresolved representation from Parks and Countryside. That's attached to Appendix B. Objection relates to similar concession, a cafe which is within the park's land, and the impact the applicant's consent is having on the charitable trust. A plan indicating the location of the cafe to the applicant is attached at Appendix C. Again, prior to the publication of the report, the applicants have submitted emails and other documents of support, which can be found at Appendix D. All parties have been attended to the licensing subcommittee. There's no financial implications arising from this report, and it's recommended that members consider all the relevant information available and representations made in the council street trading policy, in particular to paragraphs 1.2 and 2.8. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Everybody okay with that? Any questions on the report? No? Okay, thank you. Right, then we're back to yourselves again then.
Okay,
Fox.
yeah, thank you. So, different in terms of, we're talking on behalf of Parks and Countryside here rather than the charity trustees. Rivelin Valley is not a charitable site, but it is another one of Sheffield's most cherished family destinations. You might be familiar with the water play, which is much loved, well used, very expensive to maintain and keep open and clean. So combining the historic cafe with the popular water play area to create a unique community facility. The cafe is not just a refreshment point, it underpins the visitor experience and contributes to the sustainability of the site. As we've covered with the previous one, the rental income there supports the maintenance team on site. Any decision that impacts its financial stability, such as permitting competing street trading adjacent to the cafe, risks undermining this vital facility and the council's investment in maintaining a safe, welcoming environment for families. Our priority must be to protect and enhance the integrated offer, ensuring both the cafe and water play continue to thrive as a single cohesive attraction. The current lessee of Rivelin Cafe, who originally entered into a 10-year lease commencing on the 25th of March 2014 and concluded last year, continues to operate the premises under ongoing arrangements with the council. The council is currently negotiating a new lease for Rivelin Cafe, with rental terms carefully aligned to its ability to maintain strong sales and revenue. Approving a street trading licence for an external ice cream vendor adjacent to the cafe would significantly weaken this position, reducing the cafe's income and overall turnover, therefore reducing negotiated rental payments and percentage turnover to the council. However, it's not simply a financial concern. It risks weakening a valued community facility and compromising the council's efforts to secure a fair and sustainable agreement. To protect public investment and ensure the cafe continues to thrive, we are asking that the licensing committee refuses the application. And also we just wanted to add another point around the licensing policy, just that in terms of, perhaps we'll come on to that towards the end of it, but in terms of Rivelin Cafe, perhaps an alternative option or location could be considered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Open to questions. Councillor Barker?
Yeah, just a couple of things. On the written submission that you gave, you talk about a potential breach of the contract, and I just wonder if you could expand on that a little bit. You know, are we guaranteeing that there won't be other businesses in the vicinity, or how, you know, how could this vendor breach our contract with the current provider? I just wanted to understand that a bit more.
It's kind of unique to the lease, so we're negotiating the lease now, and the heads of terms, once agreed, could potentially have a term in there saying that we would not put another similar facility within a particular boundary, so it could potentially put the council in breach.
And I know this park better than Endcliffe, actually. I've been there and visited both Mr. Cunio's van and the cafe. And the cafe does quite a range of stuff, and very good, very welcoming, and people who run it were great. But just what proportion of the business is ice cream? How big an impact is it if Mr. Cunio's just selling ice cream? What impact would that have on the business?
Speaking to the cafe operator during these negotiations, she has explained that she does sell ice cream, but she does see an impact of another vendor very close by. If the pitch outside the entrance wasn't there, she'd probably start to look at a kiosk just to sell ice cream, or she might even put a mobile cart outside when it's at high season and the water play is very busy. But she's kind of got, she's in a position that she wouldn't do that because of the second operator nearby.
And just finally from me, a repeat of the question I asked last time, in that you've obviously had discussions with the current vendors. Is there any reason why they haven't submitted a personal objection to this?
She hasn't submitted a formal objection, but through the negotiations she has verbally outlined to myself, saying that she does see an impact.
Thank you, Councillor Barker. Councillor Woodcraft?
Thank you, Chair. Can I just clarify, does Mr. Cunio currently operate from outside the park? Yes, I think that you're nodding yes. Okay. Have there been any complaints about his operation?
Aside from the cafe operator, no.
And I mean, just for the sake of completeness, I know I asked this question last time, but in terms of licensing objectives, the arguments that are being put here, where do they sit with regard to licensing objectives, Sam?
I'll not ramble quite as much as I did last time, now that I've found the relevant paragraph I was looking for. So, as Shimla mentioned in reading the report at 2.8 of the policy, we look at all the factors that are relevant to an application or a renewal application, as in this sense. And I think what we'd be looking at here today is in relation to other traders, so whether the granting of a consent for sale of goods would conflict with those provided in nearby shops or cafes providing similar services, or whether trading in a particular location, i.e. this location, would conflict with concessions granted to other existing street traders. So they're the two that we'd be looking at that are the main focus today. As has already been addressed, we've looked at the applicant's suitability, that's fine, the environmental credentials, that's all fine. The renewal's been circulated, as they all have, to highways, no complaints from there, and other parties that can feed in, so there's nothing of an issue in that sense, public nuisance or anything like that. So we're purely looking in terms of the nearby traders and that cafe within the park here today. If that helps. Thank you.
Yeah, so just ask a question about this lease that's being drawn up, which prevents other traders within, was it 500 metres?
I'm not 100% what the wording is, but I can find out and speak to the surveyor that's negotiating on our behalf.
Okay, so this hasn't happened yet, but
It's live. It's live at
but
the
if it
moment.
does happen, then this could prevent this concession being renewed. Am I right?
It could potentially put the council in breach, but it depends what the wording in the agreement is. So I would need to check what the surveyor
Okay, thank you.
has done up to date.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Sorry to come back to this point again, but I just need, again, clarity on that. Is that lease already drawn up and signed up?
No, it's currently in negotiation, so it's actually live now and happening between property services, legal services and the cafe operator.
Okay, and you're saying that there's a clause in there which would prevent static traders from within operating in a certain distance from the, is that what you're saying there?
I've not seen the wording before where it actually says prevent static traders. The clause could potentially say that we won't put any other similar competition within a particular boundary. But again, I'd need to check on what that wording actually says.
Just to add to that, you know, in going through these various different lease negotiations with operators, again thinking of best interest of charity or in this site of the site, there'll be nuance to different sites, and that will be done as part of that process of property services. So I don't think obviously we can come back with the clarification if required, but there isn't a fixed set of wording because that is considered in the basis of each site. Every site's unique.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can clarify that and come back if we need to. I think what we're saying though, and we've been saying all, you know, throughout the morning, is from a parts and countryside perspective, there isn't a requirement for that amount of offer that then impacts on the income generated from the site, and the income generated at a site such as Rivelin supports the hefty maintenance cost of the water play, the hefty maintenance cost of a pretty tired building, the maintenance of that much loved site. So we are doing what we can to seek opportunities to generate the income. So if there's an opportunity within that lease to enable that, we will consider it.
Okay, but as I see it at this moment in time, that's not set in stone at the moment, it's still live, yeah? Is that correct? Yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify. Thank you. Okay, Sam? Okay, Neil, any questions from the representatives? No. Right, well, in that case, it's over to yourselves then for the detailed application and respond to anything that the representatives have said this morning so far.
I would just say what I said earlier. The same applies to Rivelin as applies to Encliffe. The difference with Rivelin is that the Cuneo family have had a relationship with Rivelin Valley Road for over 60 years in various forms of trading. Never had any complaints, never any objections to them being there. The current cafe in the park, I believe, mainly sells hot food and is very popular and is doing very well. And they sell hard ices like lollies and frozen ices that Mr. Cuneo does not sell, so there's no direct competition. I just make the point once again that competition is good for the market and good for the customer, and we don't think the difference with the Rivelin Valley is that there's no direct, we don't see there's a direct competition between Mr. Cunningham being outside and the cafe in the park. And just to comment that I'm a bit surprised that there would be, the parks would think that they can put a line into a tender that would agree that nobody else can trade within 500 yards. It seems a rather oppressive thing to do, and probably, you know, they butt heads with licensing then, because I don't see how they can tell licensing that they can't issue street trading licenses when it's outside of their remit. That's just a comment. So I say it's the same arguments as Encliffe, popular local trader, popular with local people. It's been there for a very, very long time, and we see no conflict of interest with the cafe in the park. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, open to questions again. Councillor Barker.
Same thing. Now everything I say gets recorded as you, Abdul. I can ask whatever questions I want now. Why this location? What is it that appeals about this? Because this one is particularly close to the cafe, as I recall. Again, why do you want to be in this spot?
Well, I think they've had a connection with that site for over 60 years with other ice cream vendors, and it's always proved a very popular spot. And once again, Cunningham is a well-known trader within Sheffield and popular with local people, and it's a good spot to trade and providing a good service to local people and people visiting the park.
Thank you. Return your microphone, Abdul, thanks.
Okay, Councillor Woodcraft.
No questions.
Okay, we have no questions either. Sam? Okay, do you have any questions?
Yeah, just a couple. Just the point then around connection with the park and the site for 60 years. I'll ask the same question as I did last time. Do you think that's, how do you feel about the fact that you've got that connection with that park that costs the council of the parks and countryside thousands of pounds annually to maintain, and yet this business operation puts nothing into that park financially to support with that and pays the council a few £100 for the pleasure?
Well, I suppose we might argue that Cunningham being outside attracts people to Rivelin Valley Road, who then go in the park and may well spend money in the cafe, contributing to the income of the Parks Department.
Just to also a point rather than a question, just for context, the Park Service generates around £1 million annually for income. We've got a budget of around 5 million, so it's supporting, but it's not, you know, we could do more. That the main income generators from that are car parking income, ice cream patch income, pitch income within the site, cafes, events, and then fitness classes, things like that. So again, we are doing this solely for the benefits of Parks and Countryside sites. If there isn't an ice cream van outside the site, there is an opportunity to generate income from ice cream within the site. If you look at Millhouse, for example, an additional lease was negotiated there for the little kiosk near the boating lake, in addition to the cafe area. So a built facility or a pop-up or a kiosk could be added to a site that can generate further income. So the public continue to get the amenities they would want to see, but greater income can be generated from the site without having a vehicle just outside the site, contributing nothing financially to that site. So it was just to clarify that point. And I think in terms of any other questions, I don't think I had any more, Jo.
No, I don't.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that then. Back to summing up then, if you've got anything else to add.
Yeah, I think we just had one final point that was, yeah, our ask is consistent with the Encliffe site, and it would be consistent with any other site that comes up adjacent to a park site where there is no financial contribution to the park that we are trying to support and sustain, is to decline the licence application, but also a note, please, that we really would highly recommend that the current policy is reviewed to ensure that it aligns with the council's income generating objectives, because we are really misaligned at the minute from a service trying to do what we can, and with the licensing committee allowing pitch licences for a few £100s on the highways. So we would ask that that is noted and an opportunity to be part of that process. We would welcome that, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Neil, about yourself, summing up?
Just to emphasise again that street trading does help give an offer to the residents and people who live in the area, and it is complementary to fixed businesses because it does draw more people into the area and it increases the foot traffic for all local traders. And I just think Cunio's is a well-known local business, very popular with the local people, and I'd ask that you consider renewing the licence to allow them to carry on offering a service to the people of Sheffield. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, I think we look to Shemla for the options again then, please.
Thank you, Chair. The options open to the committee are 1, to grant the renewal of a street trading consent, 2, to grant the renewal with amendments, 3, to defer the matter for further consideration, or 4, to refuse the renewal application.
Okay, thank you. So when you trust yourselves to leave again and go into private discussion. Thank you. Okay, thanks again, everyone. And once again, we've deliberated and come as applied for. Thank you. Fran.
Again, as with the other one, everyone will get a notice confirming that decision, how the members came to that decision, and your right of challenge to that following it. I just want to thank everyone for coming in again. I know we're all very busy and lots of things to be doing, so thank you for taking the time. It's much appreciated. And that should be everything, yeah. We're all free to go.